Anyway, hey y'all, let's get this rolling. I can't see you, but I know who's here. But it doesn't matter because we're going to do today is we're going to talk about marketing online, and we're going to talk about what has changed since the past, what have you, and what we can do to take this knowledge that we've learned and go forward to market festivals, or basically to market any digital event that you have online. So Joel, I don't know if you want me to share a screen, but I've got this whole thing that I wrote up, which might be helpful for folks to play along with. So maybe what I can do, can I share? May I have the ability?
You absolutely have the ability as the co-host now, my friend, so you should be able to share your screen.
Thank you. Okay. Lord knows what's on here, folks. We announced the CFMAs today. It's been a great day. Okay, so here, this is a mind map. We'll get back to that in a second. But the first thing that I'd like to talk about is what has changed. What has changed in the way we market events since COVID has made everything different, for lack of a better word, in ways that aren't great, but also ways that I find have been able to bring more people into our community and expand the music. So let's talk about that for a second. What has changed is obviously live music is catch as catch can these days, depending upon where you are, with restrictions still in place. So what that means for the music landscape and for all the events that I've been working on is that education has become a massive part of our outreach. Massive as in teaching people how to come online with you. Now, for those of you that have presented a digital platform, you understand that there is nothing that goes on for a digital event, show, festival, doesn't matter what it is, that you don't need in real life. That is one big thing that hasn't changed. So taking that, we have to put ourselves in the seats of the audience in order for them to come with you to make that jump online. So I'm sure, like the rest of you, I got a massive education, how to be an online show producer, how to check my settings in Zoom, how to cast onto a smart TV, which actually meant I had to go purchase a smart TV. So that was a thing. How to make all of your devices talk to each other and be much smarter. So if that was a challenge for me, somebody who works in digital marketing, you can only imagine what it would be like for your audience, especially if your demographic may be a bit elder. Is that a good word? Well, it doesn't matter. I'm an elder these days, so not even on the TikToks. But anyway, so to get your audience online, you have to educate them, and you have to do that. And there's several different ways that and when I say we, I'm just kind of lumping all the festivals and events that I've worked with. And I feel like I just jumped into this and didn't tell y'all who I was, but since most of the people in the chat know me, I think I'm good. If anybody wants a background on me and who I've worked with, just please put it in the chat. Otherwise, I think we're cool. So that education comes with a way of, let's see, newsletters. If you have a newsletter, then you have to start messaging out to your people how you're going to give them tips and tricks. Are you going to do that on the Facebook page? Are you going to do that on your newsletter? Are you going to dedicate a group to that? Do you have a tech team? If you do, who are those people? And then we had to make videos, how-to videos. And the best ones that worked, I think, I could be wrong, and I know there are people out there that will correct me, is when you record your screen actually what you're doing. Even if it's something as what you think is simple as purchasing a ticket off your website. We all know that, after one click, you lose people. So this is all things that you have to think about. And I know I'm throwing it in a bucket under education, but if you come up with a new website and if your folks get to a choke point where they don't know how to purchase the ticket because they might have to change a 0 to a 1, or they might have to scroll down below the fold, that could cause you a lack of a ticket and a lack of an attendee just right there. So my recommendation to educate your audience, I'm going to call this the Janice factor because that's my mother. So my mother is 82 years old. My mother went from a flip phone to an iPhone like in the past month. So this is like big stuff. So I'm sure you have someone in your circle that you can run these things through and be like, hey, so and so, can you come over here and tell me if you can walk through purchasing a ticket? Can you walk through getting Zoom up on your laptop? Can you walk through how to get Zoom to cast it to your smart TV? And every step of this education, you want someone basically like my mother who doesn't know how to do this, because you want to make it as simple as possible. And only someone who doesn't know the system can be someone that can share with you why the system doesn't work. So when we go to education, getting your people online is the biggest, well, one of the biggest challenges of all the events that I've worked with. And so what we do with some events is we run pre-festival or pre-event tech shops or tech classes on Zoom to get everybody comfortable before the actual event. The first event we did education, but we didn't do it until like a couple of days before. And therefore, what happened was Facebook exploded. If your people can't get on, if they can't get in the room, no matter what platform you're using, where are they going to go? They're going to go to Facebook Messenger 9 times out of 10, because that's the platform everybody uses, or they're going to go straight to email, or they're going to blow up your phone. So make sure that you've got a team in place and that folks know what to do. That's part of education. You have to make sure they know how to reach you if they can't get online. And it's really cool when they can't and when you can get them online. And shout out to Graham Lindsay and Ethan Baird, who do that very well. And anyone else on the text chain, I can't see the people. Sorry. So I'm kind of talking to myself. So you guys stop me if I go on too long. Okay, so I'm going to put the chat over here. Okay, so maybe I can blow this up. How do I blow this up? I guess you guys can't see this very well, can you? Trying to figure out how I can blow it up, but that's okay. So here's a couple of things. Oh, does anybody have any questions about education? Anyone? Bueller? Okay, so if you do, put them in the chat, or maybe Joel, you can pop in and tell me. I'll take questions at the end. So no worries, everybody. Or you can stop me now. Oh, hi, there's my cat. Okay, so let's talk about how to identify your audience. Now, again, since we've had a change in the way people consume music, there's also been a change in the audience that comes to find the music. So how I identify, when I go in and help organizations and help them identify, I funnel their audience. And there's a couple of ways you can do this, but the easiest one right off the top, and this may or may not apply to you, but it probably will. So take your email newsletter list, okay? Take all those people that have signed up for your newsletter. Take all the folks that purchase tickets to anything you did online. Get yourself a spreadsheet of those folks. So now you got 2 spreadsheets. Get a spreadsheet of the folks that purchased tickets to your last in-person festival. That would be probably the 2019 one. And then you're going to take all 3 of those and you're going to sort them all, and you're looking for the people that came to all 3. Now, if you can find the people that are on your newsletter that came to your digital shows and also come to your in-person shows, those are your most valued customers. Those are the people that you want to make sure get information about everything. And also you want to make sure that those folks are on your Facebook, that they follow you on Instagram, and that those are the ones that you cater to and make sure that they get all the news first, and that they are treated as kind of VIPs, because they are. So that is the lowest part of your customer funnel. Anybody who comes on one of those 3 lists kind of goes higher up in who your audience is, because I wish I had visuals. This is just I don't. But if you imagine the people, like, do you guys want to talk about marketing funnels? Because I can explain it to you real fast. I mean, I guess I am. So here we are. You've got like 4 different types of audience people. You have the people who at the periphery, so they're a picture of funnel, right? So they're at the top of the funnel. And these people at the top of the funnel are the people that by chance, for whatever reason, found you. Maybe they got free tickets to the event. Maybe they were just passing by and they heard the music. Maybe they were on Facebook one night and they were like, hey, that looks like a cool show, I'll go. Whatever the reason, they didn't know about you as a festival. They didn't really know about the artist. They're just at the periphery. They're just there because they just happened to get there. So those are people that are at the top. The second layer of people that are a little further down in the funnel are people that know about your event. So they're either coming because they love the event or they're coming because they love the performer. But other than that, that's all they know. So they're in there too. Then there's people who just like music. So they come too. So these are 3 different types of people that are at the top of your funnel. But what you want to do is you want to get them down to the base of that funnel where they become the VIPs, right? You want them to be on all 3 of your list. So converting those people from just your casual music lovers, just got tickets, everything's cool, I'm just here for the lulz. Those people, you want to get them to be passionate supporters of your musical community. And I think that, or I don't think, this is my personal approach, community really at this point is what you're building. We all need to take a little bit of a pause and think about why we do what we do and who we are presenting and who we are trying to get. Are we trying to get folks to come who are just the one-off people, or are we building community? And that is a very interesting conversation. And when you start to look at your audience from a community standpoint, then the funnels and getting them to, narrow down seem to become a little bit more clear. Because you'll find that the folks whose names show up over and over again are the core of your community. So those are the people that you really want to have, I don't want to use the phrase on your side, but to be your biggest supporters, because I don't think that's the exact right phrase, but you want them to know everything, to come to every event, and more importantly, to be telling their friends. Excuse me. Because what happens is, we all know, when you see or hear something cool, you tell your friends. If you're watching something on Netflix, what do? You tell your friends. You get a new album, you discover a new artist, you're going to tell your friends. So that's really part of the community. Once you identify your audience, then you can start targeting specific content towards those people. So now with me, when I'm writing content for marketing festivals and marketing events, I have 3 different levels of post. I am writing post for the diehard community fans. I'm writing post in a way that would speak to a broader audience who perhaps is a regional audience. And then I write a post for a music specific, someone who's specifically coming to see the performer. So I know social media takes a lot of time, but if you just do a couple of those every once in a while, because usually we're all chief cook and bottle washers here, but it's something to think about when you're writing your post, when you're writing your copy, when you're formatting your newsletter. Every once in a while, sit on the other side of the table and pretend you're the consumer and look at it from their point of view. Because we have to give our audience a reason to come, a reason to join us, a reason to want to be part of the community. And that's the key. It's a community. It's not just, a thing that happens every whatever night. Come join us. We all have this one thing in common. And music is the universal soothing agent. So everybody has it in common. They just don't know it yet. So we have to tell them. Well, I'm just kind of talking. So you guys, so post-pandemic, let's just, because that's the third one. So we'll just talk about that. Post-pandemic, whatever that was supposed to, we're all just so tired of hearing about it. And that's another thing to kind of keep in your messaging. I have found that post, when I use anything about COVID, and sometimes you have to use the word, I mean, obviously, but if you can keep it on the DL and just talk about the positive about what you're doing. I know this is probably a memo from Planet Obvious, but posts that have COVID-19, pandemic, any of that in the headline or in the first part do not do nearly as well as those that don't. So we talk about what we're going to do going forward, and what we're going to do going forward. I don't know about y'all, so tell me in the chat if I'm making things up, but this digital component to entertainment is here to stay. I mean, we used to all pay HBO to watch these high produced concerts. I mean, I remember growing up as a kid watching, Stevie Nicks on HBO. I recorded that thing. Of course, who didn't? But that was like the highest level of entertainment. Do you remember? I mean, you could get the Rolling Stones on not a DVD. Remember those big things that, yeah, anyway, you guys know what I'm talking about. I'm a Gen Xer who doesn't know what the hell she's talking about, but thank you, laser discs. That's it. So you could get the Rolling Stones on Laserdisc and everybody get excited and you would have a party. I remember going to a party watching this. Alcohol may have been involved, but what I'm trying to say is those were big deals. So what we're doing right now are big deals. So consumers are used to this. They're used to consuming content this way. They just don't remember that they're used to doing it. So we kind of have to remind them of that because it's not going to go away. It's part of our lives now. And actually, kicking and screaming, I now enjoy it. I love a good Zoom room. I love a good online show where I can be chatting with people and, getting a front row seat and eating whatever snacks I want and drinking whatever I want, not even have to wait to go to the bathroom. These are the positives about being able to watch online and be part of that community. So make sure when you're messaging your audience, be sure to message all those good things. I mean, I know everything you're messaging is good. I don't mean to imply that you're not. It's just don't forget to remind them of the obvious things. Like you get to sit in your lazy boy and eat chili cheese Fritos and drink as much root beer as you want. Like, what could be better than that? I don't think anything. Maybe a burrito. I don't know. Okay, wait, I gotta change positions here. Okay. Oh, wow, look, I went completely off my thing. Oh, okay. So here was my, sorry, I'm laughing at myself. Here's actually what I was supposed to talk about right here. Good for me. It's been a wild day. Okay, so I think we went over how to watch, right? Teach your audience how to get the best experience. If you have a really good tech person, and of course you all do, then maybe that tech person can help you make videos. And then you put those out to your audience. And if not, God bless the Google and the YouTubes, because chances are somebody's already done it. So you can borrow one of those. So that, that is just, oh, Wi-Fi. Oh, geez, I forgot about that. The Wi-Fi. Here's the thing. We all know that you have to be hardwired. You have to have all sorts of bandwidth if you are broadcasting a show. Your audience doesn't know that. They don't know that if they're not plugged in, hardwired, that if they are going from their router to their phone in the backyard next to the pool, casting onto the wall of their pool house so they can have all their neighbors over to watch, they don't understand that it's on their side that it might be lagging. I know, it's a thing, but it's true. So you might want to tell them that beforehand. This actually did happen, real life scenario. Someone called and was like, I don't understand, it's glitchy and it's not working and blah, blah, blah. I was like, well, what are you doing? They were sitting beside their pool. The router was 100 and something feet away in the basement, and they were in. So anyway, this happens. And the best The best defense is a good offense. And your excellent offense is to educate, educate, educate how to get online, how to make sure your Wi-Fi is directly plugged in, and how to cast onto a smart TV, or to basically get into the Zoom, or even how to chat. That's a thing too. So all of these things keep in mind, and the sooner you can do this, the better. Now, how do you educate them? Look, here I go. Workshops, graphics, your newsletter, across your social media. Works like a charm. Tech crew. So you got to have a crew. Like I said, all the folks that you had in person, you need all those people to support online as well. So you're going to have tech savvy host. You know, if you've got people hosting things, you've got to have tech savvy volunteers, like, you know, whoever's hosting your room, like the amazing Joel. Hi, Joel, you're amazing. He's great. He's amazing. You don't even know he's there because it works so smoothly. That's what you want. Thanks, I'm great. Yeah, you are. Tech savvy volunteers, right? So you need a whole team of volunteers that are going to be at the ready when someone's Wi-Fi goes down. If, well, let's just say it's a live event. Anything can go wrong. What can go wrong will go wrong. And so you just have to have people there to support you on that. Tech team to watch the socials. Yeah, that's a thing, because you're going to have people, again, who can't get in. So they're going to be everywhere online, mad at you because they can't find you. And we've all been there. We've all been that person. I can't find the link. Especially, remember when Facebook Live, like 2 years ago, when we all started to get on Facebook Live, and that link was so funky and you couldn't copy it, you couldn't find it, you'd go to the event. So people were all around and about Facebook trying to find that one very precious link. That's fixed so much for now, I think, but it still can be a thing. And don't forget, here's something too, spam. Wow. Folks will come in, and if you're doing a live event and it's an open Facebook event, those seem to be the ones that have the most capacity for spammers. There's going to be people that will come in right before your event starts, and they will try and lure your poor innocent audience away. I know, this is not cool. And what they'll do is they will put things like, you know, watch the live stream here, and they'll put a link, which will take obviously the consumer, the ticket holder, whoever, your attendee, entirely to a different place, ask for their credit card, and all sorts of bad mojo is going to happen there. So to avoid that, just turn off the comments. That's all you do. Turn off the comments on your post. Turn off, don't let anyone post in the event. And then turn off all comments that are relevant to the event, like an hour, maybe that morning if possible, because when it starts to count down to an hour, I don't know how they do it. There must be some kind of amazing spam program out there, because it is rapid fire. If it does happen to you, don't fret. What you can do is you can ban the user first. First, you ban them. That means they can't write anywhere else. Then you can go back and delete their comments. But the first thing you do is ban them. And I found the fastest way to do that is using the app on your phone. Does it sound like I've done this before? Because I have. Those spammers. Naughty. But I think it's better now. We've figured out ways. Facebook is actually helped by allowing to turn off comments. So it used to be a bigger thing than it is now, but it's still a thing. So I wanted to mention it, give you all a heads up. Okay, now here are some technical sides to how you market your event, because each event is unique, right? Not, some of them are in real time, some of them are pre-recorded, some of them you can put behind a paywall for 30 to up to 365 days. Zoom tends to be just like TV used to be before we had DVRs. If you're there, great. If you miss it, you should have been there. Kind of like a real concert, but we won't tell anybody. Okay, so the technical side of all of this and how to market it is you have to make real clear where you're streaming to. Is your event going to be hosted on your website, Facebook Live, YouTube, that's a thing. Sorry, I keep saying thing. The reason is you can set all of these up in advance. So it goes back to that link. How does your audience find you? YouTube has become beautiful with their countdown to their premieres. You can set notifications. You can on Facebook too, but YouTube, I actually prefer to watch on because YouTube, FYI, you can pretty much get it anywhere on any TV, right? Because the app, except for Apple TV, but that's a whole another thing. The other thing to make very, very clear to message to your attendees, free? Is it free? Is it donation style? Do they have to buy a ticket? And if they buy a ticket, what happens next? Right? When you used to buy a ticket in real life, you had your ticket, you just walk in. Well, in the digital world, do they have to wait for an email? Are they getting a link? How does this whole thing happen? So you have to be very clear how that happens. We can tag back up to the education, but I think you guys got this. I think you realize that that needs to be part of your education. What happens from the time they buy the ticket until the event? What can they expect? Keep that in mind. Oh, I think I just did that with the Zoom behind a paywall. So yeah, like again, there's other platforms. So make sure you tell folks. And if you are putting something on Zoom, unless I'm wrong, and y'all correct me, if you're doing things on Zoom, you can still only do it in real time. You can record it, but I don't think you can keep it. I don't think. I'm waiting for somebody to correct me, but last time I was on Zoom, that's how it is. So those are, that's something, again, to make sure that's right. Boy, you can record, but it doesn't, yeah, see? You can put it on video, but the quality. So you can do it, but your main ticket buying attendee, you will want to be there in real life, right? That's the goal when you're doing that. Other things like conferences, or if you're doing a show, you can watch on demand, like we did, Steve, with Philly, right? So that, just depends on, so it just depends on the platform that you're using. So, look, I'm answering my own questions here. How long will the stream be available? It's like I knew. So there, day of show like in real life for 30, 90, 365 days. Just be sure that your consumers know. Now, marketing strategy. This is so much fun. I get super excited about this because when you're putting on an event, you have so much content that you can share, like it's mind blowing, and there's never enough hours in the day. So here's my basic Kimberly 101. Here's the things you need, just your basics, right? So for each performer, you get to create a marketing schedule and a whole campaign around each performer. You can ask them, let me know if you want me to talk about intake forms. I could save you a lot of time if you get all this on the front end. When I do intake, look, I'm going to do it anyways because here we are. When I do an intake form, I create a Google form. All performers are sent the Google form as part of their PR welcome and marketing instructions. I do this for every event that I work with because I don't know about y'all, but if a performer is going up on my stage, they're going to have to talk about it. And I give them everything they need, just like the audience, so that they can talk about it. I give them all the graphics. I give them all the social media. I ask them to make a promo video for me. All of these things I've been doing for years. And you can kind of see where it's kind of taken off, which is a great thing, because nothing's better to your audience than if you have the actual headliner telling them how excited they are to see them. And it's a small ask, but I got Shaka Khan to do it, so that was kind of cool. Other people have too, but I just thought that was cool because I think Shaka Khan's really cool. So around each performer, I ask them specific questions. What will the audience hear? Again, I don't need a bio that's 9 pages long. That's completely useless to anyone and everyone. Don't send me that. What I need to know, and because I've been doing this for a really long time, I ask the performers and I kind of trick them into telling me what will help promote their own show. Because if you say, give me 150 characters, what will the audience hear? That's a little different than talking about new single, new album, new whatever. And then I also say, in 150 characters, tell me, actually in one sentence, tell me about you. And I give them a little example. We are a folk Americana duo from Toronto, Canada, and we will leave you mesmerized with our delightful harmonies. I know that was cheesy, I just made it up, but something similar to that. In other words, what you're doing and what you need to do on the front end is get marketable material from your performers. And by sending them an intake sheet, I have them answer these questions. I only allow for 150 word bio only. I need an image. I need a link to their Spotify single. I need a link to a video. And every single piece of this is something we can market to the attendees. Every single piece. Because it's what the audience needs to know, and it's what y'all need to know in order to promote properly. Oh gosh, here we are to the Facebook pixel. This is a fun one. Have y'all put your pixels up yet? Everybody, are you pixeling? Yeah, good. I did it myself. I added it to my website. It's kind of cool. I haven't quite really dived into it yet. I'm often pixelated. Well, yeah, that's a thing. Yeah, so that goes to the funnels we were talking about earlier. Facebook will make a mock audience for you. It will identify on between the event that you create, it ties together and it will identify your top fans. You might want to give it a whirl. Make sure, now again, these are memos from Planet Obvious, but maybe not. Maybe they're nice reminders. Be sure to coordinate all of your graphics, all of your about, make sure all of your links work before you launch your festival. It's called reskinning everything. Don't know if I love that term, but I get what it means. It means you are updating your Facebook banner, you're creating an event, you're updating your about section in all of those places, you're updating your banners on YouTube, Twitter. All of your branding is matched everywhere, on your newsletter, everything. So when people see your logo or whatever banner or whatever colorways you've chosen, the brains, after 7 times, it identifies and starts to recognize. So that is something where I say coordinate your graphics across all social platforms. It's a very, I mean, it sounds like a small thing, but it's a super important thing. We are creatures of habit. The ads, Facebook ads, Instagram ads, digital ads for all of your event. I like Google ads. I like YouTube ads. I put money in Facebook and Instagram, but I often don't put big money behind it. I run a bunch of little test campaigns just to see which one is working the best. Let's see. Email marketing. I think we talked about this, but I use a lot of graphics. I try not to make it super messy. Questions publicly. Well, you know what, Steve? That's a really good point. And I'm actually a huge fan of the town hall, which is part of educating your audience. I like to go live and I'd like to have an open Q&A, which is something maybe everyone should consider. You might not get a lot of people, but it shows that you're forward facing and that you're trying to answer all of their questions and that you are trying to make sure that everyone can get online and has what they need in order to enjoy the event. That's a really good point, Steve. Sometimes Facebook pages, sometimes that lends itself more to groups, but that's a whole different conversation. Yes, a dialogue, exactly, with your community, right? It's your community. So with Facebook, I guess, sorry, not Facebook, email marketing. I wish I could see hands, but I'd love to see how many hands of people who have seen newsletters that they loved And then how many have seen, thank you, Dre. Has anyone seen newsletters that are just too messy? They just make your head ping and you just, right? You don't want to look at it because it's too much. Again, have somebody who isn't part of the organization have a boo at your newsletter. Maybe they can give you some feedback. Maybe you're using too many graphics. Maybe you're not using enough graphics. Maybe just one graphic would do, right? Thanks, y'all. And then your 30-second videos on education. What I like to do as we're leading up to, yes. Oh, that's really cool. Okay, let's just talk about frequency of newsletters. That's a really good idea. I'm gonna stop sharing my screen. I wish I could see the people. One day I'll figure this out. But the frequency of newsletters. So here's what I like to do. As you're leading up to the event, let's say you're 12 weeks out, okay? So then you send one roughly every month. You don't see the chat. Oh, weird. I can only see the chat comments? Interesting. Anyway, I do once a month. However, the closer we get, I'll start doing once a week. Then, as we're getting there, I will do leading up to the days. And then, of course, like Joel does, because he's amazing, every morning you wake up and you get your schedule. I found that was super, super important. You don't want to burn people out beforehand. You just want to give them a little taste and get them interested. You obviously want them to commit to coming to your event, and you would like them to purchase a ticket. So at the top of every one of my newsletters, big orange banner, purchase ticket, register here, whatever, just keep it simple. Big red buttons work really well. And if you're not using an email client, I suggest you try it. MailChimp seems to be the default. That's the one that I use, and I love it for several reasons, and I don't love it so much for other reasons. And those reasons are simply the developmental situation. Set to he's so smart. Set your chat to everyone. Okay, so let me go back. Where was I? Okay. If you guys have any questions, please tell me. Otherwise, I just talk. Joel knows that. I just talk. Let's see. So we talked about the video stage. Oh, social media. You're always going to need a schedule. And these are brainstorming events. When you first get together and you're starting to talk about what you're going to be doing, who's going to be participating, that is when you start getting your big picture, separate, I call them like specific and unique marketing campaigns. It can be centered around giveaways. It can be centered around one performer. It can be centered around one educational component. If you've got something super cool happening and something going on, pick it out and raise it up above everything else and create a whole separate marketing campaign around it. I mean, it can be cookies. It can be share your recipe for biscuits. It can be whatever it is, something to engage the community and for fun. We did something fun with Jonathan Bird. He's not here, so I can tattle. We came up with something really fun. We were trying to get people to go to his merch store. And that's always a challenge, right? To get people to buy merch. Or maybe it's not. I don't know. But we wanted to get more people to buy it. So what we did was we asked all the people of his fans to send us pictures of them wearing his merch. Oh my God, it was so much fun. We got so many great pictures and people were so engaged, and we would feature them, and then we put it on the newsletter, and then he made a whole video of everybody wearing his merch. It's just cool. Well, Steve, not necessarily. Well, sure. Anybody, hold up your FMO. Send me a picture, send in a picture of yourself at FMO, Steve. So you can take this and you can tweak it to whatever you're doing. It's just an example of running a whole separate marketing campaign during a campaign within a campaign. And what that resulted in, I think it was a dozen or so more newsletter subscribers, a couple more t-shirts were sold. So it was the most thing It was fun. And then he drew it live out of his big cowboy hat because we made that a thing too. So these type of, and you don't have to do this for an event. You can do this in the downtime. If you have one big festival per year, but in the in-between time, what I call the doldrums, right, where you're planning for the next festival, you can always recreate, reissue, rebrand, and reuse content to keep your community engaged. I'm gonna stop using the word fans. I'm just gonna use community. Do you guys agree? Let's do that. Let's just use community. So these, I'm just trying to give you examples of ways that you can keep everything going, keep yourselves at the top of mind, and to keep your organization and your festival forward facing to your community, right, Ethan? Yeah, community. Okay, so let me go back here and see, what are we doing? Post engaging content. Well, yeah, duh, everything you're doing is going to be engaging, so please share it. If you are behind the scenes, don't forget how valuable those behind the scenes photos are, especially if you can get an animal involved. If there is a dog or if there is a cat somewhere, those are popular. Especially if they are hanging on your microphone, if they maybe are sleeping in your guitar case, do it. It'll be great. Send those out too, just for fun, because we're all looking for a connection on the internet. So the more behind the scenes and the more that you show and share the people behind your organization and what's actually happening behind the scenes, the more the community will get to know you as people. And that's what we're trying to do, right? We're all trying to humanize with other people and come together with things in common. And if it just so happens that we love kitties, or if we love chili cheese Fritos, or whatever it is that we love, then let's share that. Share the love, right? Okay, so that's part of it. Update headers. Oh, I did that. I already told you all about that. Make sure, oh, here's something fun. Every 3 months, you're going to audit yourself, maybe 6 months, depending. And by audit yourself, what I mean is go check all of your social media, check your about section, not as your page, but as a consumer. Make sure it all makes sense. Make sure it's all up to date. Make sure there's no legacy stuff there that you don't want on there any longer. It's just a good idea every 3 to 6 months to go in and freshen up. And that means in all the places, especially YouTube. I go to YouTube and I find that YouTube people just don't treat it as they don't keep it as clean as they do Facebook, rather. They don't tend to it. But YouTube has a lot of power behind it. So I think maybe we should be checking on the YouTubes a little bit more. I love Twitch. I don't know if anybody does Twitch. I love it, but I only love it when I'm watching people that I know. If I don't know the peoples, then I just kind of lurk, which is actually the technical term. If you've never been on Twitch and you want to go check it out, all you got to do, see, lurking is good. All you got to do is say, just here, lurking and working. That's what I would put. Because I'd be like, it's the daytime and there's this fabulous chick from Finland who sang the entire Depeche Mode Violator album from start to finish. And I was there for all of it. And I think she was making like tacos at the same time. And it was flippin' brilliant. And if I can remember, I think it's Amelia Ray. Yeah, I think it's Amelia Ray. So I just was like working and lurking. And man, I listened to that in the background and it was fabulous. So that's kind of what Twitch is for. Find your people at Twitch. If you hear your teenage kids talking about Discord, Discord is the way everybody communicates on Twitch. They don't really have you can talk in the chat, but Discord is like this kind of separate room where the cool kids go to talk. Think I'm explaining this correctly? Ethan, correct me if I'm wrong. My teenagers mock me hilariously because I kept saying to them I didn't know how to get, thank you, I didn't know how to get into the Discord and how did I get there? And they're like, well, did you download the app? And then they eye rolled like 20 times. So yeah, there is an app. That's it. It's like, okay, like when you are I'm trying to think. You guys haven't been to the Carlton. But okay, so if you've ever been to the Carlton in Halifax, you know it's one big room, but there's the side room where the bar is, where everybody who wants to kind of talk, or it's like a house concert, right? Where everybody's in the main room watching, but then there's that side room where everybody's talking and getting drinks and you don't want to hear them. That's what Discord is. It's the bar room or the chat room, whatever. I'm having fun. I hope you guys are too. Yeah, that's true. Oh, you're right, Sarah. And that's where you can hang. You can post pictures and do all things in Discord. Discord is cool. Just saying. We're not even going to talk about TikTok because I don't get it. I watch it. I tried to do a reel yesterday. I know it was awful. Oh, it was terrible. But at least I tried. Reels are like advanced stories. They're like videos and you put music to them and you put all the little things on them. I love doing stuff like that. I love creating stories. To me, it's like one of the most fun things I can do. I will spend a half an hour to make the perfect story. This is why my husband is like, put your phone down, honey. Stop what you're doing. Okay, so don't get stuck in storyland like me. Okay, hashtags are cool. If you don't get into hashtags, check them out. There's all sorts of hashtag generators that will tell you the most popular hashtags to use. That's what I love. So if you're doing live concert, you do a little research. Sorry, there's like something on my screen. You do a little research, you get the most popular hashtags that are used for that. And those are the ones you use because there's people smarter than me that collate all this stuff. So why not use them? Don't make it up all on your own. There's too much. I'm already spending too much time on stories trying to figure out the Discord. So when you get, and always have one hashtag for your event, be sure to track that hashtag. And that way, every time you put it in, you can see how often it's coming up. Oh yeah, see, here's this thing again about phishing. Ooh, you guys want to talk about publicity? I'm gonna share my screen again. This is a big one. Publicity, marketing. For the record, they are two completely different things. One more time, publicity and marketing are two different things. They're not the same thing. People are usually good at one or the other. I have a bad habit of being an overachiever, and I've been doing this for a really long time. So, publicity, here we go. If you have a publicist, or if you're a chief cook and bottle washer and you are writing the copy for your website and for all of your events, hopefully this will help you, this little schedule. So your publicist writes copy, highlights all aspects of the event, and attracts media attention. Nothing to do with marketing. They send the copy, the announcements that they write, to media outlets. I use them to build the website. You use it on the ticketing platforms, the event listings, and on social media. So I will write one piece of copy about an event, and from that copy, all these pieces, it branches out to all these different places. I know, if you think about it that way, it's kind of cool, right? So here's how I roll them out. Give or take a week or two, give or take how much you've got confirmed. We bend and sway with all the things, but this is a general schedule, okay? So specific to the rollout plan for each event, 8 weeks prior is when you're going to come out with your initial announcement, the dates and the details, plus tickets, and if you're doing an early bird. You may not have all your headliners, but you can hold the date, you can do all those different things, right? Then 4 to 6 weeks, you announce full lineup plus schedule. Again, depending upon what you got confirmed. 2 to 4 weeks prior, full schedule when you got it, week of, the reminder, day of, full schedule, and then each day. I think I kind of touched on this earlier. I forgot that I had written it here in more detail. These announcements that the publicist writes, or whoever it is, could be you, I don't know. You make sure you distribute those to all of your local TV, print, online blogs, and radio people. Because if you don't have support in your own backyard, what are you doing? Cater to those local media people. They are your biggest supporters and your biggest outlets to get the word out, right? coordinate interviews with those lovely people. Usually I always have an organizer and then a couple of headliners. Or I always like to get the local folks in there too. It just kind of depends on what they're looking for. Don't forget to submit event listings. These are things that, in the before time, always doing. Now I think people kind of forget because it's online, so they don't do it so much. Do it anyways, because it leaves a trail in the Google. And that's what we all want. When somebody Googles your event, you want all this content to pop up, like, we are such a big deal. Look, we have all this Google stuff. And that could come from event listings. Oh, look, and I'm done with that. Oh, wow. And I have talked the whole time. Okay. Oh, I have questions. I see that Max has asked me a question. On a vast geographical, oh, yes, Max. Should I answer live? I don't know how to do this. Joel, what did I do? I hit answer live. I don't know what I did.
But that just means you're going to answer it while you're talking.
Oh!
Answering it live.
Wow. So, Max, to answer your question, any tips? It's no regional versus national. Obviously, you're going to want to go for a broader audience. You're going to want to go for larger media. So you're going to want to expand your reach. You might want to do that with some Facebook ads. I do national things like the Canadian Folk Music Awards, but I'm also lucky that folks know who the Canadian Folk Music Awards are. We can talk about that more offline because there is a difference between a regional and a national campaign. A national campaign just means you have to have more people in place from province to province. And if you have performers from those places that you're trying to reach, then they can be helpful to you as well. Ask them who their biggest media supporters are. Like, hey, do you get support on CTV? Who did you do an interview with last? Who do you suggest we call? Go to your performers, agents, and managers for resources. Don't rely on yourself. We are a community. They need to help. We all help, right? Hope that answered. Steve, offer a few free tickets to me. Steve, meaning, yeah. I always, as a general rule, I am very, very, what's the word I'm looking for? Generous. That's the word. Generous with media tickets. That was in-person events. Online events, I'm not so generous. It depends on what happens leading up to before. These are unique situations now. And I think it just depends on how much capacity you have and who you're trying to get there. And the biggest thing with media these days, you need advanced help. You don't necessarily need people live streaming your live stream. That's the key. You need advanced messaging out. So if I have a media person that's going to write articles for me to advance the festival or the event, I'm happy to give a thank you ticket, right? But if they just want to come and watch and stream and then write a review, maybe. It'll depend on the outlet. And I'm not trying to be all mean mommy about it. I'm just trying to see the value, right? Because when in marketing, what you need to remember is we don't give anything unless we get something back. If you want to be with our contest, that's great. But would you sign up to our newsletter? Just remember okay, more questions. How am I doing on time?
You got about 5 minutes left.
Do you guys have any questions besides the Q&A that I'm getting? Oh, Sarah had one.
Yeah, I see Sarah was at the top. It's about Facebook Pixel. And she saw there was a webinar noting that Facebook Pixel isn't really relevant anymore since the iPhone update a few months ago.
Yes, they're always updating. I know. I keep getting those updates. It's still working in the back end, Sarah. So, everything with Facebook, if you go back to the before time, we were all supposed to have, I think it was pages. And then we went groups, And now we're back to paying in groups again. Like Facebook is always like, it went from a Facebook page to now you have a business suite, a creator studio, and now an ads manager. And let me tell you what a fiasco all of that is. If any of you all are trying to manage all those things, like I manage several accounts, I still have a legacy account on here that I can't get rid of. I can't get rid of it. I get cranky fest on here. I can't get rid of it. I don't know what to do. Every time I go to Instagram, I try and log out. Every time I go, it's still there. It's still on my Facebook. I don't know what to do. It's just one of those things. Thank you, Max. It is. It's the worst. And these updates. So, if I'm in a webinar and they're like, oh, the iOS, it's like, okay, that's the word of the day today. I'll just sit here and wait to see what happens, because tomorrow it's always something new. So when it comes to these new things that Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, used to be Snapchat now, when all this stuff comes out, I'm an early adapter, yes, but I'm also someone who really watches it to make sure that I'm getting the value out of it that's promised. And that's always something to do with social media. Anybody else have any questions? This has been so fun talking to myself.
I notice a question from Dre about how people can keep learning from you. So this is a chance for you to promote yourself, my friend.
Okay, Dre, that's very sweet. Thank you. Gosh, how do I even say that? Well, I mean, you can follow me on social media. You can send me an email. We can chat anytime. I work with some amazing organizations. I am working to present NERFA, which is the Northeast Regional Folk Alliance, which if you live anywhere from Ontario to Newfoundland, you're part of NERFA. It's a regional, because we're talking about regional versus national. And I'm working with my friend Ethan Baird, and Tribal Mischief is the company based out of Massachusetts. And they have a whole new platform, ticketing, paywall, affiliate codes. Oh my God, we didn't even talk about affiliate codes. Those are genius. You got to use those, give them, we can talk about that later. One more thing, I'm also presenting the Far West Conference, which is it's like the NERFA, but on the West Coast. So it is 11 states, from California to Hawaii, Utah, Washington State, Wyoming, Nevada, I know I'm leaving some, Alaska, and all the way from BC all the way up to the Northwest Territories. Massive regions, y'all. Oh, thank you, Idaho and Hawaii. Those are the two I left out. Massive regions, smallish communities, opportunity. I will be there. You can email, I don't know, Trey, just call me. I don't know, I'm a nice person. I talk a lot, but I really enjoy what I do. And I think that the thing is, if you love what you do, then you are very, very passionate about it. And I like to share that. And I have a history with a lot of, I was a national radio tracker. I broke the Glorious Sons. I got their single to #4. I've worked with a lot of really cool people, and I've done a lot of really cool things. So I am happy to share my knowledge in any way that I possibly can. So yeah, just follow me at Kimberly Sink or at SpinCount. And don't laugh at my reels, okay? Because the first one was bad.